I really need advice because my whole world is crashing down around me. My heart feels like it's being ripped apart, and I can barely think straight. I, 36M, have been married to Laura, 35F, for 12 years, and we have 3 beautiful children together, John, 10M, and the twins, Emma and Sarah, 7F. Everything in our life seemed perfect until recently when my entire world started falling apart. Laura and I met during our sophomore year in college. I still remember that day clearly. She was sitting in the campus coffee shop, grading papers for her teaching assistant job. I was there studying for my business finals, and we ended up sharing a table because the place was packed. We talked for hours that day, completely losing track of time. She was studying to become an elementary school teacher, and her passion for working with kids was obvious from the start. I was pursuing my business degree, dreaming of starting my own company someday. We dated throughout college, and everything just clicked between us. After graduation, we both landed good jobs in the same city. I started working at a marketing firm, and she got a position teaching 3rd grade at a local elementary school. We got married a year later in a small ceremony with close family and friends. Our parents helped us with the down payment for our first house, and we started building our life together. John came along 2 years into our marriage. Laura was an amazing mother from day one. She somehow managed to balance her teaching career with being a mom, and I was in awe of her. When she got pregnant with the twins 5 years later, we were overjoyed. Those early years were challenging but wonderful. We were tired all the time from juggling work and 3 young kids, but we were happy. We had date nights every Friday, took family vacations every summer, and always made time for each other despite our busy schedules. For the past 10 years, I've been growing my own marketing consultancy. It started as a side hustle but grew into something bigger. Laura was incredibly supportive during those early years when I was working late trying to build the business. She never complained when I had to miss dinner or when I was stressed about landing clients. She believed in me when I doubted myself. Looking back now, I can see where things started going wrong. About 2 years ago, my business really took off. I was finally making the kind of money that could give our family a comfortable life. We moved to a bigger house in a better school district, got new cars, and could afford nice vacations. But with the success came longer hours and more stress. I started missing those Friday date nights. Family dinners became rarer. I told myself I was doing it all for them, that providing a good life for my family was what mattered most. I noticed small changes in Laura's behavior about 6 months ago. She became more protective of her phone, always keeping it face down or taking it with her everywhere. She changed her password, which she had never done in all our years together. When I would try to hug her or kiss her, she would pull away or make excuses. She stopped sharing details about her day with me. At first, I chalked it up to stress from teaching or dealing with the kids. We both had demanding jobs, and 3 active children can be exhausting. I tried talking to her about the changes I was noticing. I asked if everything was okay, if she was happy. She would always brush it off, saying she was just tired or stressed from work. I believed her because I wanted to believe her. I convinced myself that all marriages go through phases like this, that it was normal to have periods where you feel a bit disconnected. Last week, everything fell apart. Laura was in the shower, and her phone kept buzzing with messages. When I glanced at it, I saw a man's name, Mark, and preview of a message that made my stomach drop. I know I shouldn't have looked, but something in my gut told me I needed to know the truth. The messages I read destroyed me. They were talking about their feelings for each other, making plans to meet for coffee, and discussing how right it felt when they were together. When Laura got out of the shower, I confronted her about the messages. To my surprise, she didn't try to deny anything. She told me she had developed feelings for Mark, a new teacher at her school who she met during a training program 3 months ago. She said they started by just talking about work, but their conversations gradually became more personal. She said their emotional connection happened naturally, and before she knew it, she was falling in love with him. She swears nothing physical has happened yet, but honestly, the emotional affair hurts just as much. Then Laura told me something that felt like a knife to my heart. She said she's been unhappy in our marriage for years but never said anything. She felt neglected and unappreciated, like we had grown apart without realizing it. She said she missed the man who used to surprise her with small gifts, who would leave love notes in her lunch bag, who would dance with her in the kitchen while making dinner. She said she missed feeling seen and heard and valued. I was shocked because I thought we were doing okay. Sure, we weren't as romantic as we used to be, and maybe I had taken her for granted sometimes, but I never stopped loving her. In my mind, we were just in a comfortable phase of our marriage. We weren't fighting or arguing, so I assumed things were fine. I was content because I had her and our family, even if things weren't perfect. These past few days, I've been reflecting on our marriage, and I can see where I went wrong. I got so caught up in providing for our family that I forgot to nurture our relationship. I stopped doing all those little things that used to make her smile. I assumed she knew how much I loved her without me having to show it. I missed all the signs that she was slowly drifting away from me. Now I'm desperate to save our marriage. I've told Laura I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'll scale back my work hours, hire more people to handle the business, anything to spend more time with her and the kids. I've suggested marriage counseling, regular date nights, couples retreats, whatever she wants. I've made a detailed plan of all the changes I'm committed to making. I want to be the husband she fell in love with again, the one who made her feel cherished and adored every single day. But Laura says she's confused about what she wants. She says she has strong feelings for Mark but also doesn't want to destroy our family. She's worried that even if I change now, things will eventually go back to how they were before. She's scared of making the wrong choice and getting hurt. She says she needs time to figure out her feelings. Meanwhile, I'm dying inside. Every time I look at our children, my heart breaks thinking about what this could do to them. John has already noticed something is wrong. He asked me yesterday why mommy seems sad all the time. The twins are too young to understand what's happening, but they pick up on the tension in the house. They adore their mother, and the thought of our family breaking apart is unbearable. I need advice from people who have been through similar situations. What worked for you? What should I avoid doing? I'm willing to fight for our marriage until my last breath, but I need help figuring out how. How can I prove to Laura that we can fix this? That we can be better than we ever were before? I feel like I'm running out of time, and I'm terrified of losing everything that matters to me. Update 1. It's been 3 weeks since my last post, and everything has gotten so much worse. I've been trying everything I can think of to save our marriage, but it feels like I'm watching sand slip through my fingers. Following the advice from my last post, I started making major changes. I hired 2 new people at work to reduce my hours. I planned special date nights and family activities. I even started leaving little notes for Laura again, like I used to do when we were first married. But none of it seems to matter anymore. Laura is pulling away more and more each day. Last week, I planned a surprise dinner at her favorite restaurant, the same place where we celebrated our first anniversary. She agreed to go, but spent the entire evening checking her phone under the table. When I mentioned it, she got defensive and said she was just checking on some work emails. But I saw Mark's name flash across her screen more than once. The worst moment came 3 days ago. Laura asked to talk after the kids went to bed. I felt hopeful, thinking maybe she was ready to work on our marriage. Instead, she suggested something that felt like a knife to my heart. She wanted to try an open relationship. She said it so casually, like she was suggesting we try a new restaurant. She thought it would be a good compromise, a way to keep our family together while allowing her to explore her feelings for Mark. She even encouraged me to find someone else for myself, saying it would only be fair. I just sat there, stunned. The Laura I married would never have suggested something like this. When I finally found my voice, I asked her if she really thought I could share her with another man, or if she truly believed I wanted to be with anyone else. She got frustrated, saying I was being old-fashioned and possessive. She said relationships can take many forms, and maybe this would be better than divorce. I couldn't even continue the conversation. I went to sleep in the guest room that night, feeling like I was living in some kind of nightmare. This weekend, I finally met Mark. He came to our house, to pick up Laura for what she called a friendly coffee. Seeing him in person made everything so much more real and painful. He's 25, a full decade younger than us. He showed up in trendy clothes, with this easy confidence that comes from having no real responsibilities in life. No mortgage, no kids, no complexity. Just a young guy who thinks he's in love with my wife. I watched them leave together, and the contrast was stark. Laura was practically glowing, laughing at something he said as they walked to his car. She looked younger somehow, more like the college girl I fell in love with. I could see why she might be attracted to him. He represents everything that's new and exciting, everything that our settled, routine life isn't. The situation is affecting our children more than Laura wants to admit. John, our 10-year-old, has started acting out at school. His teacher called last week because he got into a fight with another student who made a comment about his mom always texting during his baseball games. The twins are confused and clingy. They've started having trouble sleeping, often crawling into my bed in the middle of the night asking when mommy is coming home from her friend's house. Last night, Emma, one of our twins, asked me a question that broke my heart. She said, "Daddy, does mommy love her friend more than us? Because she always wants to talk to him instead of watching movies with us like we used to." I had no idea what to say. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that her mother is prioritizing a relationship with another man over her own family? I tried talking to Laura about how this is affecting the kids. I showed her John's school report, told her about Emma's question. But she got defensive immediately. She said I was trying to manipulate her by using the children against her. She insisted that kids are resilient and will adjust to whatever changes come their way. She said she deserves to be happy and that being a good mother doesn't mean she has to sacrifice her own happiness. But what about their happiness? What about the stability and security they need? Our friends have started to notice what's happening. Some of them have tried talking to Laura. Her best friend since college, Sarah, came over last weekend specifically to talk some sense into her. But Laura accused her of taking my side and not understanding her feelings. She said Sarah was just jealous because she was stuck in a boring marriage herself. Sarah left in tears, and Laura has since blocked her number. Laura has also stopped talking to most of our other mutual friends. She says they're all judgmental and don't understand that sometimes people fall out of love and find new connections. She's been spending more time with some new friends from work, people who don't know our history and won't question her choices. I'm watching the woman I love turn into someone I barely recognize. The Laura I knew would never have suggested an open marriage. She would never have dismissed our children's feelings or hurt her friends like this. She would never have betrayed our marriage vows so casually. It's like Mark has become her entire world, and everything else, our family, our history, our life together, is just an inconvenience to be managed. The most painful part is catching her in those unguarded moments when she's texting him. Her whole face lights up in a way it hasn't for me in years. Sometimes she'll laugh at something he's written, and it's like a punch to my gut because I remember when I used to make her laugh like that. I'm still trying to fight for our marriage, but it feels more and more like a losing battle. Every time I think we're making a tiny bit of progress, she pulls away again. Last night, I heard her on the phone with him in our backyard, telling him how much she misses him even though she'd just seen him that afternoon. I never thought our marriage would come to this. I never thought the woman I've loved for 12 years, the mother of my children, could become a stranger so quickly. Continued in next part due to length. Update 2. It's been 2 months since my last update, and everything has finally reached a breaking point. Yesterday, Laura sat me down in our kitchen, the same kitchen where we used to dance while making dinner, where we've had countless family breakfasts, where our kids took their first steps, and told me she wants a divorce. The worst part wasn't even the words themselves, but how calmly she said them, like she was telling me about her plans for the weekend. She had clearly planned this conversation carefully. She already had a folder full of papers from her lawyer, complete with proposed custody arrangements and alimony calculations. While I've been desperately trying to save our marriage, she's been methodically planning its end. She wants to move in with Mark and start what she calls her new life. She kept using that phrase, new life, as if our 12 years together and 3 children were just some old chapter she could easily close. Laura has everything figured out in her head. She wants primary custody of the kids, offering me weekends and some holidays like she's doing me a favor. She's asking for significant child support and alimony because her teacher's salary is much lower than what I make from my business. The business I built while she supported me, the success we achieved together, now it's just a number to be divided. The conversation kept getting worse. She's already found an apartment near Mark's place and started looking at schools in that area for the kids. She's planned all this without even telling me she was considering moving the children to a different school district. When I protested, saying the kids shouldn't have to leave their friends and familiar environment, she accused me of being difficult and not putting the children's best interests first. Somehow, in her mind, uprooting them from everything they know is what's best for them. I made one last attempt to save our marriage. I reminded her of how we met in college, how we built our life together from nothing. I talked about the birth of our children, our first house, all the challenges we overcame together. I reminded her of the vows we made, the promises to stay together through better or worse. But Laura just stared at me with this distant look in her eyes, like she was watching a movie about someone else's life. Then she said the words that shattered what was left of my heart, I don't love you anymore. I'm in love with Mark. She said it so matter-of-factly, like she was commenting on the weather. She didn't even seem sad about it. She said Mark understands her in a way I never did, that he makes her feel alive again. When I asked about our children, she said they'll adjust and that it's better for them to have a happy mother than parents who stay together unhappily. The divorce proceedings started this morning. Our first meeting with the mediator is scheduled for next week. We're trying to keep things civil for the kids' sake, but it's incredibly hard. Every time I see her, I'm reminded of the woman I fell in love with, and I can't understand how we got here. How did the person who once couldn't sleep without holding my hand become someone who can barely look me in the eye? Laura moved in with Mark last week. She packed up her things while I took the kids to the park because she didn't want them to see her leaving. When we came back, half our family photos were gone from the walls. The house feels empty now, like a museum of what used to be. The kids keep asking when mommy is coming home, and I don't know what to tell them anymore. The hardest part is that Laura seems genuinely happy with her decision. Yesterday, I dropped off the kids at her new place, and I saw her laughing with Mark in the kitchen through the window. She looked younger, carefree, like the weight of our marriage had been holding her back all these years. Our oldest, John, saw it too and asked me why mommy never laughed like that with us anymore. Our mutual friends are divided over the situation. Some have sided with Laura, saying people can't help who they fall in love with and that everyone deserves to be happy. Others are disgusted by her choices, especially how she's handled everything with the kids. My best friend told me she saw Laura and Mark at a restaurant last night, acting like teenagers in love, while Laura was supposed to be having dinner with our daughters. I'm trying to stay strong for our children, but some days are harder than others. The twins still cry at bedtime, asking for their mom. John has become withdrawn and angry, refusing to talk to Laura on the phone. I'm doing my best to hold everything together, but watching our family fall apart while Laura builds her new life with Mark is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Update 3, it's been 6 months since everything fell apart, and the divorce is finally official. I signed the last papers yesterday. 12 years of marriage, 3 beautiful children, and countless memories, all reduced to a stack of legal documents and cold, formal agreements about custody schedules and financial arrangements. Laura and Mark are still together. They've moved into a bigger apartment, and she seems committed to her new life with him. The custody arrangement we settled on has the kids staying with her during the weekdays because of school schedules, and with me on weekends. We also split holidays and school breaks. I get 2 weeks with them during summer vacation. It's not ideal, but I'm trying to make the best of the time I have with them. The hardest part has been watching our children adjust to this new reality. John, our oldest, is struggling the most. His grades have dropped, and he's been getting into fights at school. The school counselor suggested he start seeing a therapist, which he now does twice a week. He's angry at Laura, often refusing to talk to her or go to her place. Last week, he had a complete meltdown when Laura tried to get him to call Mark's stepdad. I had to pick him up early from her house because he was so upset. The twins are handling it differently. Emma has become very clingy with me, crying every Sunday evening when it's time to go back to Laura's. Sarah, on the other hand, has become withdrawn and quiet. Their teacher told me they sometimes sit alone at lunch, not wanting to play with other kids. It breaks my heart seeing them like this, but Laura insists they'll adjust with time. I've been focusing on rebuilding my life, even though some days it feels impossible. I've started working out again, something I'd neglected during the stress of the past year. I joined a single parent support group, which has been helpful in ways I didn't expect. Hearing other people's stories makes me feel less alone. A few people there have suggested I start dating again, but I'm nowhere near ready for that. Right now, my focus is entirely on being there for my kids and healing myself. Laura and I only communicate through a co-parenting app now. Our conversations are strictly about the children, their schedules, school events, medical appointments. Sometimes I catch myself wanting to ask her if she's really happy, if trading our family for a life with Mark was worth it. But I know those questions won't change anything. What's done is done. Last week, I ran into them at our local grocery store. Mark had his arm around her waist, and they were laughing about something while picking out vegetables. It was such a normal, domestic moment, the kind we used to share, and it felt like a punch to the gut. The twins were with me and saw them too. Emma asked me later if Mark was going to be their new daddy. I had to pull over on the drive home because I couldn't see through my tears. I've started making new traditions with the kids during our weekends together. We have movie nights on Fridays, go hiking on Saturdays, and cook Sunday breakfast together. I'm trying to create a stable, happy environment for them, even if it's only for 2 days a week. I want them to know that even though their family looks different now, they're still deeply loved and valued. The pain isn't as sharp as it used to be, but it's still there. Some days are better than others. The house still feels too quiet when the kids aren't here. I still sometimes reach for Laura's side of the bed in the middle of the night, forgetting for a moment that she's gone. But I'm learning to live with this new normal, focusing on being the best father I can be and slowly rebuilding my life, one day at a time.